Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am John Browne, and today I'm going to take a look at some old gear. And in this instance, it's the HUGHES and KETTNER Warp T, which is right here. And it quite possibly has one of the worst marketing campaigns that's ever happened. Which is a shame, really, because the amp is absolutely amazing. So a little bit of history. The Warp T, the Warp 7 and the Warp X came about in the early 2000s. The Warp 7 was the solid state version. The Warp T was an all tube version. And then the Warp X was the redesigned Warp T because people got confused between the Warp 7 and the Warp T, even though there was a significant amount of money between the two. And when I say it was the worst marketing campaign, I mean that quite lightly. I mean, around the time that this amp came out was the height of the nu metal boom, so to speak, which I am personally not afraid to say that I absolutely loved. But when you direct an amp to a specific genre of music, then that's always going to kind of end badly, isn't it? Because music comes and goes now. It's like, you should use these headphones because trap musicians use them. And it's like, well, they'll be good for 5 minutes and then people will be looking for the next thing. But anyway, the Warp T. I don't really believe that people were ready for this amp because it does sound really rather good. It's really pissed off in the best possible way. It has 2 channels, clean and distortion, and the clean channel is actually surprisingly great as well on it. I mean, it's a little bit sterile for a lot of people that want to have mostly clean sounds. But in terms of a clean sound on a high gain head, it's definitely up there with amongst the best. The distortion channel, really good. Very strange EQ section though, which I'm going to go into in a minute. So let's take a look at the front panel here. Warp T, big Warp logo, red LED lights. It looks quite menacing, doesn't it? Especially with the metal grille. The clean channel. 5 controls. We have a gain control, 3-band EQ, and a presence. The Warp channel. We have gain, 3-band EQ, presence, and master. And we have 2 switches that affect the tonal qualities of the channel. We have a sub button, which adds even more low end. And this amp has a ton of that already. And then we have the Lube switch, which changes the saturation of the amp. And I've not seen this on very many amps at all. But it turns it from being dry, like a rectifier, to more along the lines of how a 5150 feels. So basically, it caters towards the kind of 2 different, well, what I feel is like 2 different metal characteristics. You either like the really dry sounds, or you like the saturated sounds of a 5150. We also have effects loop on and off for each channel. And in the master section, we have an effects loop master as well as a master volume. You could get the MIDI module with this as well, so you could turn the whole thing into MIDI, which obviously for me would be great. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to find the MIDI module yet, and I think the HUGHES and KETTNER are completely out of them. And obviously, they haven't been used on amps for at least 6-7 years at this point. So if anyone has one, hit me up, because I would like to get one. Should we have a listen to what it sounds like? So here's the clean channel. Let's push the drive some more. sure that if I boosted that with a pedal, it would probably get me into rhythm guitar territory. So. You know what? That ain't half bad, that. But for big open chords, that actually sounds pretty great. All right, color me impressed. Right, let's go on to the warp channel. Now, as I said earlier, the EQ on this channel is quite strange. It's pretty reminiscent of a rectifier to me, in the fact that the controls affect other parts of the EQ section, and it will become very apparent once I ring out a chord, and you'll see that when I turn the bass up, it kind of ups the treble a little bit as well. And when I cut it, it kind of boosts the mids. So yeah, it's very reminiscent of a rectifier in that particular instance. So I'm just going to put all the controls to noon. Gonna make sure my boost pedal is turned off. As you can hear, it's got a shit ton of low end. So let's start cutting the bass just a little bit. Sounds pretty good to my ears already. Let's just try turning the treble up and down just so you can see what it's doing. Here's the sub switch. Which adds a lot of bottom end. Sounds pretty great to me. Now I'm going to boost it with my pedal. Get a little bit tighter out of it, you know what I mean? Right, let's press the lube switch. Let's get a little bit more saturation out of this guy. Actually a very, very mid-heavy amp. So let's try cutting the mids just a tiny little bit. So I'm running it through the Boss Waza tube expander, and I haven't found the right settings for the reactive load of the resonance and presence, and it completely changes what this amp sounds like. So currently I've got the resonance Z on low and the presence on mid. So I'm just going to play around with those so you can just hear how different it really reacts. So much definition, so much note, and it's a really, really good sounding amp. There's a few things that I would change about it. It kind of maybe has a bit too much bottom, man. Let's be honest, fellas, yeah? Using KETTNER, there's too much bottom end. It just sounds enormous. It's like a really big sound in the room, and hopefully that's translated through the mic because it sounds glorious. Gear you might never have had a chance to check out, the Hughes and KETTNER Warp T. This one's actually for sale right now because I have the Warp X as well, and you know, I wanted the red lights. Great amp, very, very underrated. It's a shame that it had such a poor marketing campaign. When I say poor, it's just don't ever tailor your product to one specific music style because it's eventually going to go out of fashion. And this thing would work great for rock music. I mean, it's so big sounding. Anyway, German engineering, it's fucking fantastic. If you like what you hear, please send me a comment down the bottom. Tell me what you want me to try out. Any new gear you want me to check out, any old gear you want me to check out, just list it. So yeah, have a very good day and I'll see you next time. Peace.